So, in terms of video, the 1DC is definitely the big news here at NAB 2012 for digital SLR.
The finger follow focus for the Red Rock Micro. Right now we're shooting with our Scarlett, and we have it kind of configured with almost like a DSLR. To hold like this, but it's a bigger camera, so it's a lot heavier. And to hold a camera like this, it's kind of awkward. You want to hold it like this. It's stable. You can tuck your elbows in. You don't even you almost don't need a shoulder mount if you're shooting like this.
The problem is that the Scarlett weighs, about 5 times as much as that. And so when you're holding it like this, you're just like, it goes down slowly and eventually. So you have to brace yourself, hold it like
trying to pull focus like
you
this,
almost
really hard.
Yeah, we almost hold it like we're shooting a gun essentially, and because you have to pull focus and keep it on the bottom of your hand, and that's kind of awkward, honestly. You can't really do that much because you're only holding it with one hand.
I could just get the camera. It's right over there.
Yeah,
I'll be right back.
Good. Let's get it.
So I want to talk about this cool new thing.
Cool new things.
So right now, this is really comfortable. Hold the camera like this, super steady, super stable, really easy. And you can also do all this stuff. But you can't hold it like this when you're shooting because you have a lens on there, and you have to hold it like this. And that's not as doesn't
Yeah,
work.
well, I mean, it adds weight to the front. Not to mention, usually there's a huge battery in back too.
Yes, this isn't a very stable way to operate the camera. But Red Rock Micro has a thing coming out where it's just a little wheel, and you clip it onto your handle, and you just pull focus with your pointer, and then you can just hold the camera like this, just pull focus like that, and be totally set. And I was going to suggest and ask if Red could implement being able to pull focus with this wheel, but Red Rock Micro beat me to it.
I'm pretty excited about our FS700 that's coming out in our stand. One of the things that the pro side shares with the consumer side is our sensor technology, also our codecs, and then some of them share the same E-mount system. So we can interchange lenses between the pro group and the consumer group, and even on the consumer side, we have really outstanding lenses like Carl Zeiss and G-series lenses, which we can then share with the pro side. And now they're extending it even further with even more control and flexibility for the higher end pros now with the FS700. So I'm really excited to see that camera in action.
The FS700 is pretty much the coolest camera that's coming out this year, because it's got it's at 240 frames per second
Full 1080p.
at full 1080p. Ridiculous.
But we shoot a lot of action, so
we
we're
shoot
really
a lot, yeah.
in tune with frame rates because we use slow motion all the time. A lot of other people don't.
Yeah,
it means a lot to us.
You can use it for action. You can use it for just simple stuff, just showing movement and stuff. And it's really awesome.
So the Sony camera, the new Sony camera is the Sony FS700. It's an update of the FS100. We're really pumped about because finally the camera manufacturer is prioritizing frame rate, like frames per second, over shutter, over sensor size and all the other considerations that we don't really care too much about. But being able to do 240 frames a second at 1080p was a lot of fun because we want to do action stuff, and that's like the definition of cool stuff is being able to do it in slow motion. So
knowing that processor speeds double every 18 months or so. About 5 years ago when we had the HVX, we were looking at that and we're like, you know what? About 18 months from now, if this does 60 frames a second, we should be able to do 120 frames per second. And every single iteration, when we went through that doubling processor speed, instead of giving us more frames per second, they just gave us a bigger sensor.
Exactly.
So finally, I guess, sensors got big enough and we could finally get back to what's important, which is frames per second.
frames a second.
Yeah.
Well, I think here on the Canon stand, definitely the EOS C500 for me is just the knockdown winner as far as excitement. It really has the best overall image quality and feature set of anything I've seen for 4K.
And the other thing too is the other camera that came out that I think a lot of people were interested in was the Blackmagic camera. And these guys are mostly post-production hardware guys, so they kind of have a little bit of that pedigree. It's a weird looking camera. It's like a box. It's like a square box. So you're sitting there and you're like, I don't know how I'm supposed to hold this. But it's okay. They sell
It's
you.
a cheap square box.
But they sell you $300
it looks and feels like
handles.
a cheap square box.
They sell you $300 handles, so that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
No camera company adds every little accessory or component because it makes their cameras more expensive. So they're always missing something. And that's where we come in to help make it more useful to the shooter or customize it to their needs. But starting with a complete blank canvas like the Blackmagic camera is a fun one because that's essentially just a box. So we can kind of just do anything with it. There's not very many limitations, And of course, you can't use it really at all professionally the way it is. So you have to start with something. So yeah, that's an exciting one to see. I haven't been over there yet, but I'm going to go check it out.
Really, I think people were really blindsided and surprised by it, but it's the nice thing is it's something that kind of knowing the tech behind it, it was something that's been kind of a long time coming.
Yeah.
And I think it's really what we're going to see as a change in the world of cameras is that there's no longer going to be the 5 year, the 3 or 4 year dominance of the HVX is the camera to go to, and then the 3 years of the 5D, and then this, it's like it's going to start turning over really quickly, and people are going to have to get used to their cameras getting out of date within a year, just like they're used to their computers getting out of date.
Well, also
within a
you're
year.
getting to a point too where it's like you're getting to a good enough world too, where you get a camera that's like you can do the 2K, it's like 2.5K, it's like Super 16 sensor size, but that's a good sensor size. A lot of good stuff has been shot on that sensor size, Yeah,
it's going to start to be where there's a new, better camera every year, but you don't need to upgrade every year because it's going to be just a small iteration on top of it. But they're just going to keep going.
It's definitely a cool camera, especially at the price point. You can't argue with that price point.